Okay, let's get started. So, welcome to DSPANZ Webinar Week. My name is Simon Foster. I'm the president of DSPANZ, and I'm looking forward to starting off giving you a bit of information about DSPANZ, what we do, and introing our various sessions that we're running this week. Before we begin, I'm going to do a welcome to country, acknowledgement of country. In the spirit of reconciliation, DSPANZ acknowledges the traditional owners of country throughout Australia and recognises their continuing connection to land, waters and culture. We pay our respects to their elders, past, present and emerging. In recognition that we are a binational association, I also take this opportunity to acknowledge Maori as Tangata Whenua and Treaty of Waitangi partners in Aotearoa, New Zealand. So a little bit about what DSPANZ is. So we're the association for digital service providers and business software. So as it says there, our mission is to help grow the dynamic world-class business software sector in Australia and New Zealand. And we do that by sharing knowledge, expertise, industry updates, building strong networks in Australia and New Zealand, connecting government and industry to solve challenges together, engaging with government on behalf of our members, and enabling consultations for members on B2G and B2B initiatives. Some of the things that we do are listed here. I won't read them all out again, but we have our website with industry issues and share knowledge and a forum. We do communicate via both email and our fora with our members and government stakeholders on various things that are going on. We provide professional development opportunities. We have been involved in a number of government consultations and we facilitate our members contributing in those and also doing so ourselves. We also provide representation onto various bodies and we promote world-class APIs, cybersecurity and interoperable open standards. So what is a digital service provider? So digital service providers create, sell and use software solutions to securely capture, transmit and share information. So that would include within our membership, tax software, e-invoicing, payroll, employment technology, so time and attendance, award interpretation, message transformation providers, and regulatory technology solutions. And that's not all encompassing. We have members that do various other things in there, including consulting services into that space, and develop more generally on APIs. DSPANZ was previously known as ABSA, the Australian Business Software Industry Association, and we've been running since 2013 and have played a central role in development of many key digital initiatives. So single touch payroll, both phase 1 and phase 2, ELS to SBR, which is the background of tax lodgement and things like SuperStream, which we'll come to next, which is the super payments network, super transaction network, development of the operational security framework the ATO uses to whitelist providers onto their technology, PayPal e-invoicing, security standard for add-on marketplaces, which is the standard used by a number of our members that have marketplaces. So it includes organizations like Class and BGL, Intuit, Mile, Xero, Reckon, for use for their marketplaces and providing security to those add-on service providers. And also within the PayPal world, Australian New Zealand industry practice statements, providing further levels of interpretation to the PayPal standards. Last year, we also established a presence in New Zealand and rebranded to better reflect our membership across Australia and New Zealand. So we co-chair a number of industry working groups, most prominent amongst those, the ATO's DSP Strategic Working Group. And so that is where the ATO brings upcoming technologies and programs and gets feedback from the digital service provider community. We also get an opportunity to raise issues in that fora. And in fact, the predecessor to the Strategic Working Group is where ABSA, as it was then, started from. We also co-chair the Attorney General's RegTech Award Compliance Strategic Working Group, another mouthful, RACSWIG, which is looking at award compliant software and ways of making the award system easier to manage from a software perspective. And also the New Zealand Digital Advisory Group, which merges which is the New Zealand equivalent of the Strategic Working Group, and another working group called the DARG in Australia, which is the Digital Architecture Review Group, reference group. So as you can see, we're involved in a number of different things, both from a strategic and a tactical perspective with government in Australia and New Zealand. We also meet with ATO Executive 4 times a year, so that's the DSPANZ board and ATO Executive. And we have monthly meetings with the Fair Work Commission, looking at the Modern Awards Pay database. And we have ad hoc meetings with a number of providers, including the Australian Small Business and Family Enterprise Ombudsman, ABSA, COSBOA, Council of Small Businesses, Organisations Australia, Digital Transformation Agency, Home Affairs, Treasury, and in New Zealand with IRD and MB. So some photos there from a number of events we've held over the years. The opportunity you get by being a member of DSPANZ is to influence policy, participate in consultation, planning, co-design of various projects, both with government and within DSPANZ itself, work alongside peers and government, building trans-Tasman networks, obviously be able to drive the direction of our organisation. You can keep informed about policy and programs that impact our industry, staying up to date, networking, and also members get discounted tickets to our events and do some other events. There's the traditional logo slide. That's I think that's all of our members across Australia and New Zealand. And also want to call out our hardworking team staff. So Donna Burridge, our operations manager, Maggie Leese, our communications and advocacy manager, and Jordan Malloy, our marketing assistant, who make events like Webinar Week happen. So in the last 12 months, we've consolidated the number of subcommittees we have on the board and tried to get more members involved. And one of the ways we've done that is we've set up 4 industry committees. And so this is where decisions and discussion has been delegated from the board to industry committees, an opportunity for members to get involved, whether you're on the board or not. And so we have 4 of these, which are now very active and running regular meetings. So EmployTech, which is focusing on payroll, time and attendance software, in award interpretation, so everything around employment technology. Government Digital Services, which is looking at the APIs that ATO and other government agencies provide, things like PLS, SBR, the new Digital Services Gateway, and various wholesale services that the government is providing out to the marketplace. So where DSPs can hopefully increase revenue and increase the user experience for your customers. We also have a PEPOL industry committee, which is looking at the e-invoicing solutions across Australia and New Zealand and has a close relationship with the Open PEPOL operating office and various change management boards operating out of Europe. And finally, security standards, which is looking at the various cybersecurity related matters and also has ownership of the SSAM, so the security standard for add-on marketplaces. And we do welcome members getting involved in these committees. If you're interested in do so, please send an email out to hello@dspanz.org or respond to your invite to this particular webinar, and we'd love to have more members involved in those committees. So I'm going to review a little bit of what we did this year. I've already talked about the industry committees that we established this year. We've also signed a memorandum of understanding with ESPA, which is the European E-Invoicing Service Providers Association, and that's to work together and see where we can promote interoperability and open standards globally. So ESPA and DSPANZ working together. We also participated about a month ago in E-Invoicing Week, which there were about 40 webinars across different e-invoicing providers, industry associations, government, and obviously included ourselves. We've produced a paper on DSPs and government engagement. So that's, that's a case study of how we've been working with ATO and their consultation model and digital partnership office over the last decade or so, a little bit longer than that, pre even ABSA's creation, DSPANZ's creation. And that was a result of being asked by a number of other government agencies within Australia, agencies in New Zealand, and also overseas for information about how is it that we have partnered with ATO and have a very strong relationship there, particularly out of the PEPOL world, where the level of trust that exists between industry and government in this part of the world is seen very much as a model and something that they don't have. We've also made 10 submissions to various government consultations, and you can find those on our website or obviously on those various consultations. If you do a Google search for DSPANZ, you'll find them all. So what do we have coming up? So we have a number of events as we round out the year. So firstly, we have our annual general meeting on the 26th of October. Members are able to attend that via Zoom. And there is also an opportunity for members to nominate for positions on the board. Information on how to do this went out to members last week. Please do nominate for the board. We like to see new members on there, and we do actually have term limits. This will be my last year on the board as I step off after 6 years. And it's terrific to see new people and new ideas and continuing growth for our industry. As mentioned earlier, each of our industry committees are working on exciting pieces of work. We welcome new members onto those. And that's an opportunity for you to help guide what DSPANZ is working on and also get information about what's going on. All that information is actually on our website, so you can find, members can see a little bit more information than non-members, obviously, but if you go to the subcommittee section, you'll see a number of information published there. We also have a DSP landscape server coming up. We're working internally and engaging with some government stakeholders to be able to use an external party and produce a survey to see what is the state of DSPs. So what are your business models, rough turnover, and get a feel for just how much economic impact DSPs have and what are our challenges. We did an informal survey in the time of COVID to try and determine the impact of COVID, and also learn just how much it's costing DSPs to implement things, compliance activities like the operational security framework and STP, and that becomes very important in presenting to government and giving them factual information so they can make their decisions. And finally, in the lead up to our AGM, we'll be having an annual report, and that should be coming out shortly. So we have a number of terrific sessions in the next 5 days, in webinar week, and you can sign up for those from our website. You'll see them advertised there. Please do come along to a session of interest. Most sessions are being recorded, will be available to all DSPANZ members, but also to non-members who are registered. So if you are interested in it, you're a non-member and you're seeing this right now, please do log on, register. Even if you can't attend that specific time, you will get the recording. So our first session tomorrow at 11 AM is from ABSA. ABSA are the administrators of the .au domain, and that has been in the news quite a bit lately because next week is the last opportunity to get a .au domain if you own a .com.au or a .org.au. So we're getting some information out there for members and to industry, so make sure you don't miss that opportunity. Tomorrow afternoon, I'll be hosting ATO's new Assistant Commissioner for Digital Partnerships, Planning and Governance, Ellie Stinchcombe, and we'll be hearing about how the DPO works alongside DSPs and some of Ellie's plans for the future. On Wednesday, we have an e-invoicing session by DSPANZ Director Anne White, who will be covering all the things DSPs should be aware of when thinking about becoming PEPAL enabled through integrating with a certified PEPAL access point. In the afternoon, we will have Jill Berry from Aditree, who will be giving an update on the consumer data right in Australia and providing some cross-industry use cases relevant for DSPs. On Thursday morning, we're going to have Keith Taylor, who is Strategic Policy Advisor within New Zealand's Inland Revenue Department, and we'll be presenting on possible opportunities for private sector innovation in the Working for Families delivery. Thursday afternoon, we'll be hearing about STP, past, present and future. And as I'm sure many of you are aware, STP2, you're either now going to be implemented or you'll be implemented in the next few months as we come to the end of the STP phase 2 rollout process. And our Director and Vice President, Simone Dixon, will be sitting down with ATO's Ian Colquhoun and Travis Wright and discussing the single touch payroll journey and what the future holds. On Friday morning, we're going to have Maureen Ryan from the New Payments Platform Australia, who's going to be given an update on real-time payments, in particular delivery of Pay2, which is the replacement for direct debits. And that's rolling out at the moment. And there'll be some really interesting pieces in there for DSPs. And if you're not aware, the NPP, FPOS and BPay merged earlier this year, and now called Australian Payments Plus. So expect to see there a lot of new stuff coming out of that organisation, and they're actually a member of DSPANZ as well. And finally, on Friday afternoon, we'll be hearing from Nick Thomas and Leonard from Deloitte, and they'll give a review of the threat landscape in the Australian software industry and trends in automating the remediation of such threats. And so, yes, we have 8 very interesting sessions there, and I hope you're able to attend some, if not all of them. At that time, my introduction comes to an end. So I'm going to see if we have any questions from the room. I'm just going to check my chat box here. So it looks like we've got one coming in right now, which is, what are the priorities for DSPANZ moving into 2023? So as I mentioned, I will be standing down as president and board director at the end of the year. And so we will have a new president. But other than that, one of the things that we've been working quite closely on is there is a new tax technology group in New Zealand. So they're starting to look at what are the new things that can be done in that marketplace, and brought together a very broad group of people. And we'll be working quite closely with them and hoping that they will become a subcommittee of DSPANZ. And so we will see a bit more movement into the New Zealand market and a bit more trans-Tasman partnership in the Australian context. Obviously, as we go beyond the STP2 rollout within the payroll space, we're expecting to see some change, or payroll and award space, expect to see some change from the new government. That will be in the budget in October, and expect that'll keep DSPs pretty busy next year. And there'll be a lot for us to be working with our partners in government on in making that an efficient and effective implementation of policy that impacts businesses and individuals in Australia via our DSP members. Seeing if there's anything else here. And there's not. So thank you all very much for your time. I look forward to seeing you in the various sessions later on during webinar week. And have a terrific day.